All right, we should be good to go.
All right. Hello. My name is Cynthia McCloskey. You can call me Cindy if you're my friend, and you all are. I work in academic advising and have worked there for 15 years. And like you all, I am a first generation student. My mother graduated from high school, John Bartram High School in Philadelphia, and my father got in fights during high school, and his father shipped him off to the Navy at 17 years old. So I was the first. My parents had no knowledge of college or anything what it was about. And after high school, I got married right away, had a child at 18 years old. And when he was getting ready to go to college, I said, Sean, I want you to be everything that I'm not. And he's like, I don't want to go to college. So I said, you know what? I think I'll go to college. And that led me to, let me see if I can start my PowerPoint. How do I share? Let's see. Can I share screen? Oh, okay, here's share screen. Great.
Were you able to find it?
Yes, can you see it?
I cannot.
Oh.
Recording. Go ahead.
So here's my road. When my son was in high school, I was a school cafeteria lady, and I went and signed up for one English class at my local community college. Took me 3 years to get through there. And then I went to visit some colleges, which I meet a lot of transfer students every day. And some of them sign up to come to Stockton without even knowing what majors we have here. I want to major in nutrition, they say. I'm like, did you know we don't have a nutrition major here? I want to be a gym coach, gym teacher. Well, we don't have that here either. So it's always good. Now you're all here at your 4 year college, but it's always good to research your college. And I researched two colleges near my home. One was kind of far away where I ended up going, and the other one was Drexel, which was about 20 minutes from my house. And when I went there to visit, it was just so overwhelming for a person who was 18 years out of school, because there was 100 people. I was invited to go to a lecture, and there was 100 people in the lecture. So I needed a more intimate, hold-handing experience. And even though I went to a Catholic girls' school for 18 years and hated it, so I said for all those years, I went right back to a Catholic women's college. There was some men there. There's a lot of men there now. It's co-ed. But I went to that college experience because I don't think I hated high school as much as I thought. Once you look back on it, you're certainly a rebel in your teenage years. So I went to Immaculata College here. It looks like a beautiful castle. And it took me 3 more years to go there. And why did it take so long? Because I had 3 children, a husband, and 2 to 3 jobs at different times, as a lot of you have. Then I decided to study nutrition because as a cafeteria lady, I looked at the head of our school food service cafeteria, and I said, Fran, and she was just about my age or a little older. I said, what did you study? She's there. I studied nutrition. I said, well, now I know what I want to study. And that's what I'd like to tell you. You don't have to know what you're going to become. And in most cases, you don't become what you start out for at college. So if I had known how much science and math were required, I would have never done it. But once I'm in there, I spent a lot of time in math tutoring centers at my community college. And I spent a lot of time learning things and using resources in my 4 year college. And then when I was done and I was a dietetic technician, I made more money than I ever made in my life. I had nice hours, I had weekends off, but I'm telling people, don't eat this, don't eat that. Next day I come in, sometimes they're dead. That was not good for me. I was too emotionally involved with people to do that. So I'm like, oh, I went to college for all these years. What else am I going to do now? I loved my community college and I went back there to see if they had any type of employment. And because I had that Bachelor of Science in nutrition, I was welcomed with open arms and given a job right in the same math center that I received all the tutoring 6 years before. And I could grade the papers because I had a bachelor's degree in science. Of course, the answers were sitting right next to me. But from there, I moved on and up into different jobs and went all the way to the assistant director of admissions. All the time in admissions, students would come back to me and ask for my advice. And I slowly realized that, hey, I'd like to be some kind of advisor. So I went for many job interviews. And guess what? You had to have a master's degree in advising. Well, I had a master's degree in technology by then because that community college that I worked for 5 years, I took a class at a time and I got a master's degree on their dime, which was great. So having that master's in technology wouldn't allow me in Pennsylvania to have a counseling position until I looked further, widen your scope when you look for jobs in the future, you future college graduates, because people in New Jersey, as I found out, love New Jersey and hate to leave it. I widened my scope all the way from one state to another to find Stockton College. The reason I even interviewed was because I found out they had Fridays off in summer. But besides that reasoning, I met with the director of admissions and I found my home for life. I've been here 15 years. I only intended to stay 3 years. My husband was in Pennsylvania for many years without me. We had to get together on the weekends, and I think that's why we get along so well. But now I'm finally a New Jersey girl, or woman, as you want to say. And with an MS in technology, I was allowed to become an academic advisor. I'm not your counselor dealing with your personal problems, although I hear many personal problems and I help students to get help. But I found the mix of technology, which I loved, my science and math background, which I use to advise health science, and my love of helping people one-on-one. So your pathway is wide and varied before you can get where you need to go. Now, when you came to Stockton, students, was orientation a blur? We do our best to tell you every single thing you need to know about college. But a lot of students that their brothers and sisters didn't come to college, they're an only child, their parents didn't go to college, they don't know how to advise you. I guess it's a little easier with social media because you're advising each other, but I feel that students get out of orientation and really their goal is to get classes. Okay, I now have the classes. Are they the classes you need? The parents will ask you, oh, I don't know. And it's too much information all at once. We do our best, but we cannot possibly tell you all you need to know in orientation. So what you should do to get in the know, it's hard for a student that didn't have parents to guide them to get in the know, is number one, make use of your Student Go portal. And number two, make use of the Stockton homepage. I'll show you a few examples. So here's some of the things on the portal that are very important to you that can be students. I get questions every day to academic advising about every department, about the size of sheets for the bed, about financial aids, about everything. But the information can all be found if you become resourceful. And it's okay to ask questions, but as you develop and mature as a student and an adult, you learn to use resources. If you're resourceful, if you put that on your resume, you're resourceful, it always perks people up. So let me take a look at this Stockton website. Now, do I have to share my screen again?
Nope, we're seeing it.
Okay. So I know who my preceptor is. I can't find them. I can't find where my teacher's office is. Guess what? Right at the top here, we have contact directory. If you don't know their first name and you know their last name, you can look people up by there. Let me see how many Pams we have. Here's Pamela Cross. She's one of our valued faculty members. And when they're extra nice, they always have a picture of themselves. So you can get in touch with your preceptor, email them, find their office, find their email, contact them. The academic calendar is very important. Now, once you get here, it's kind of confusing, but if you go over to the left and go under academic calendar, because that's what you're all about, you can see some very important dates like Preceptor Day coming up on March 30th and Preceptor Day coming up the first Wednesday in April. No school that day. And finally, this is important because this is a change this year. April 26th is the deadline to withdraw. This is the latest deadline we ever have. What if you're doing poorly? I bet none of you here are doing poorly, but what if you're doing poorly? You can just about take the final exam and know that you're not going to have a C or better and withdraw from it. So that's very generous. It's not the best use of your money. But if you're going into the sciences or you're going to graduate school or you're going to become a teacher, GPA in college is very important. So we give you the benefit of that by allowing you to withdraw if you're not going to be satisfied with your grades at that time. And these will always tell you holidays and spring break. Guess what? No spring break this year. But the academic calendar is very important. And also from the home page, I love the search box. What do I look for there? I can find advising so easily. I can find the help desk, which is invaluable to me to receive computer tech support. If you're doing an online class and you're like, I'm submitting my document, it's just not going through. Or I wonder if it went through. Now, I've taught myself here at the college. I taught Intro to Health Science for many semesters. And I always tell students, if you don't know if a paper went through, send it to yourself all the time. Copy and send it to yourself. If you didn't get it, your teacher didn't get it. But the help desk that we have here at Stockton is like the best in the world. I've worked many different places. I've had 10 different jobs, and people used to be move, I'll fix it for you, and they wouldn't show you anything. But here, the student workers and technicians are happy to help you with any of your technical support. Tutoring from the help desk. You can find so many things. Here's our tutoring center, things that you need, and make use of these things because we're going to say they're free. Of course, big money to have all these services, so please make use of them. And under academics, what if we look for minors before I look at academics? Minors often at Stockton. It's not very pretty, but there's a list of every minor. What if you want to know more about a minor? Maybe something like holistic health. What is that kind of minor? And you always will find out the coordinator, find out the program, find out everything that you need to know. Under academics, this is really great. You might be looking at grad schools already, and if you're a sophomore, you should be. Here's all of our graduate programs, a detailed description of the prerequisites and the admission requirements for every graduate program. But suppose you want to change your minor in your undergraduate. Let's go back. Undergraduate programs over to the middle, and there's nice little pictorial Alphabetical, every major's here. And you can see all about the major. You can have contact information. It's a wealth of information. And the other thing that I wanted to show you that's a wealth of information is your own student portal. So the students that are here today maybe are the brightest and the best students. And when you are the brightest and the best students, carry your information and teach others. But believe it or not, I meet many students that almost seem like they're afraid to click anywhere. So, except for my courses, because we're doing all the courses online and you go in Blackboard. And of course, Blackboard is the BB at the top right here, but there's several places to find the Blackboard. I'm talking about student tools here. The very first button's called My Pre-Registration Time. You wouldn't believe how often I get the question, when do I register? Students register by how many credits they have earned. And that means not including this semester, but how many they earned before this semester. So if you click on this button, My Pre-Registration Time, it will tell you personally when you register, but not today, because it's not live until the 19th of March. And I got that right from the horse's mouth, from the programming person in student records who programs all these numbers in. You may have a transfer course on the way here, and if it gets here before the 19th, it will be included in your pre-registered courses. Now, in the spring only, if students visit their own preceptor, we have an incentive. Our faculty need you to evaluate them so that they get high marks from you students, or they get constructive criticism, and they value that so much that they will allow you to, if you've done an evaluation, you move up your time. You don't move it up that much, but sometimes 2 hours makes a big deal of difference between getting a class and getting on a wait list. So an email will come to you about that, but a lot of students don't read every single email and they miss things. So if you students that are here today could spread the word, if you visit your own preceptor and the preceptor puts your number in, it's like a 3-step process. Visit the preceptor, preceptor puts your number in, you go in and evaluate your preceptor. Then ding, 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 you will be able to register earlier. And then the time will move up on this button. My other favorite buttons, of course, are your degree works evaluation and tools. Do you believe I've met some students that never look? They look at it and think it's confusing and never look at it again. They expect their preceptor to tell them everything they need. And what if the preceptor doesn't tell them exactly everything they need? Because a student is supposed to develop here and be an advocate for themselves, because you're responsible for yourself. You are required for your graduation requirements. So get in the habit of looking at that degree works, and every time you look at it, you'll improve in your understanding of it. If you can't understand it, we in academic advising are more than happy to have an appointment with you and explain it, and you'll be so much the better for it. Before, we had forms and papers for everything, and now we have a change of major form, one right under the degree works, that you can change your major using a form now. The next item, unofficial transcript, that's really helpful for you to remember what courses you took at what time. When you're filling out graduate applications, the unofficial transcript, it won't bite, just look at it and it shows a picture of you since you've been here. When you're near the end of your schooling here, this is how you apply for graduation. It's that easy. It's a button about 4th from the bottom. So is that everything I wanted to talk to you about the student portal? No, I wanted to just show you the bursar right next to student services. You probably know this because you had a financial aid workshop, I heard. So the bursar is everything about paying your bill and financial aid. Student Life has lots and lots of resources for you. Now, I have more tabs on my Go portal than you would, and you know about the email, of course. So let me close out of this. And see if I can get back.
All right, we can see your session again.
Okay, the top tabs, the unofficial transcript, everything I talked about. And here's that date again, March 19th. Now, this is the danger zone, and a lot of students don't know the difference from this, whether your parents would have helped you to go to college or not. There's two things that are very similar that students are confused about. One of them comes from financial aid. It's called SAP, Satisfactory Academic Progress. Remember how I told you we have that late withdrawal date and you can withdraw from a class, and that's more important than getting a C perhaps, or certainly a D or an F. If you withdraw and withdraw and withdraw and withdraw and withdraw, you could be in danger of losing your financial aid. What if you fail and you fail and you fail? You could also be in danger of being off your financial aid. So financial aid will send you an SAP form to fill out. SAP stands for Satisfactory Academic Progress. That means you could be at a 3.0 or better, but you withdrew 10 times. There's a certain percentage, which is 67% of your classes you must complete. Is financial aid, are we going to keep giving you loans for more and more classes that you withdraw? You may have a very good reason for withdrawing, perhaps an illness or an accident, God forbid, but you can explain that away on your SAP form. But you want to pay attention when you get these things, because you don't want to all of a sudden, okay, you're registered for classes, where's all the money? And the other thing that's going on right now is GPA probation. That is none of you here in this room, but if your GPA was to go under 2.0, you would be on probation. And we care about you so much here at Stockton that we make you come in and visit us to get the probation hold removed. The probation hold prevents you from registering. So even though you know your time to register and you're all ready to register, and you have a hold for probation, you'll be so mad because you missed that email. And the reason we have you come in is because we want to see what we can help you to do is become more successful. So we talk about the counseling center. We talk about tutoring. We talk about the writing center. We talk about approaching your teacher for help. Some people are scared of that. We do calculations to see what grades you need to get off probation, and then we take the hold right off you. So believe it or not, we had 260 students on probation this year, and we sent out a notice. And there's always a big flurry right at first, and then it dies down. So Monday, I sent out a second notice going, you cannot register if you don't come in. And then we got another flurry, and I'm sure it'll die down. And then the next rush will be when students go to register and they have not come in to visit us. And at that time, we are very, very busy seeing all our preceptors. Your preceptor in biology or crim may have 30 preceptees each. I have 200, and my coworkers have about 100 preceptees each. So it's difficult to get through if you wait too long on those kind of things. Now where? I find students to have the most challenging courses at Stockton seem to be Math, there's all different versions of math here, and I do a whole nother presentation on math. So if you ever want me to come back and talk about math, which is the key to success, I can do it. But here's some outside resources that I suggest to students. And you may know about these, you may not. The Khan Academy is my favorite. Do you know Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world? He studies subjects on the Khan Academy while on his treadmill every day. You can go to any subject and they will have other professors going through a whole algebra sequence or a whole Chem 1 sequence or any subject that your heart desires. You do have to register, but it is free. YouTube, you can just type in anything. Show me how to do quadratic equations. Show me how to use my calculator for sine, cosine. YouTube will tell you about everything. Is every single source legit? You'll find out within 5 minutes of watching. Grammarly is very good and it helps you, your sentence structure, it helps you with your writing. It helps you. It doesn't do the work for you. And there is a part of that that asks for a paid subscription, but there's a lot that you can use for free that'll be good enough for you.
I don't mean to interrupt, Cindy, but I'm the head tutor at the Writing Center, and if you come by the Writing Center, we actually have a premium Grammarly account that students can use.
Wow, that is great.
But you do have to come see us first. We're not just going to give it to you if we don't know who you are.
All right, I'm putting that right in my cap for you approve of that in the tutoring center. It's not fudging anything, correct?
Not the best. It's not, Grammarly's definitely not perfect, but if you really struggle with like very common grammar concepts, then it's really good for building that foundation.
Well, that's great to know.
It can save you a few points if your professor takes off for grammar mistakes.
Yes, I've taught health science and I say I will take off for excessive grammar and spelling mistakes. And they're there. How many is that, Professor McCloskey? I'm like, more than 2. So most professors have a rubric for any subject that they teach. And to be aware, this is one of the things, I wasn't aware of everything as a first-time college student, and I only became aware through the years. So if I was more aware at the beginning, I think I would have, I don't know if I could say I would have done better because I performed pretty well as a student, but I just took part-time classes at first. So there's nothing like good old index cards. I see many students who have highlighted text in their old-fashioned books. Now online, we have our books online. There's still highlighters. Index cards can be also called flashcards. Medical terminology, there's nothing like using those. But if you go online to YouTube, they have a medical terminology game, which is great. It's kind of like the match game. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's an old game show, the match game for medical terminology. The other resource is chegg.com, and that helps students get reduced textbooks, and the bookstore never likes that I talk about this, so I'm just going to talk, and that's all I'm going to say. It also has other resources for mathematics. Is there one of our tutors here today that works in the Math Tutoring Center? Gabby, do you have knowledge of the Math Tutoring Center?
Yes. So the way the Math Center works is there's a bunch of different tutors that specialize in different things. So for example, there's we have a statistics tutor, a calculus tutor. No math tutor is like a jack of all trades. Pretty much every tutor has maybe a few specializations, but you can't guarantee that they can help you with all the math problems, but there is there will be someone there who can help with anything, It just might not be that person that's there. So you can always go to the website and look at all the tutors' bios. And I believe it does say what their specialization is. I can double check that because I'm much more familiar with the Writing Center. But
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. And I just tell students, oh, that guy didn't help me. Oh, well, please go back. There's another guy there that can help you. Go at different times, but I work. Well, make sure you change your work day to try somebody new out. Isn't it more important? I met a girl that just got a job at Dunkin' Donuts and she worked 80 hours in the last 2 weeks and she's in chem and bio and chem lab and bio lab. I'm like, you have to make them understand that school is your priority, because if you don't do well in school, you're not going to get to that career to get you out of Dunkin' Donuts. Not that there's nothing unpleasant about Dunkin' Donuts, but it's not worth giving 80 hours over a week or so. And she just got hired and she needs to set the ground rules now.
So I just double checked on the website, and each tutor's bio, it specifically says what math courses they can tutor you in. And they also, the Math Center has a lot of chemistry tutors as well.
Oh, that's good to know. I felt that that was true, because chemistry is a true hump class for many of the students that I see.
Physics as well. There's also physics tutors. But you just have to go through everyone's bio and kind of double check, and then you can check their schedule. But that's all available on the tutoring website, which you can find on Stockton's homepage.
Yep, and you just go in the help desk, go in that help search box. Okay, so this is what the Khan Academy looks like for macroeconomics. I had a young woman that was really struggling with economics, and she needs an economics to get into the MHAL. MHAL stands for an MBA in Health Administration, and that's a new program that we have. And it's great for health science students, public health students, or any kind of business students, but you need to succeed in economics. So I actually joined this website and put my information in, and I took macroeconomics, so I looked at everything to see if it was what they teach you here, and of course it is. So it seems to be a great help, but you must take time to do this. These 20 websites that I got, 20 useful websites, and what did I find was the most useful? I picked the most useful websites out, but what I like is just looking up problem solving in math, and that's YouTube. So I did that. Make use of more websites. So where's our other student?
We have Kaya and Gabby here with us today, who are both first-gen students.
Let's hear from Kaya a little bit. I'm going to stop this share.
So my name is Kaya. I am actually in the dual degree program for criminal justice. So this is my last semester as an undergraduate student, and next semester I will be fully transitioned in the MACJ program. I'm also an RA on campus, and I work in the Office of Student Development. So I would say I'm pretty involved on campus. A few like tips that I have, or things that I honestly use like every day is thank you. There's a lot of reading like in my program, lots of hefty reading that you have to sort through like every week. And it's kind of hard to focus on that sometimes, especially like if you have a day full of reading. So a method that I like to use often, I call it the 15-3 rule. So you set a timer for 15 minutes and you just like have your phone down, maybe you have some like study music or lo-fi playing, and you just read for 15 minutes. And when the alarm goes off, it's kind of like, wow, you just did that. At least it feels like an accomplishment to me. So then you take the 3 minutes, have a break, and then you just keep going. And honestly, I feel like I speed through my readings, and it just gives me something to kind of look forward to, like how many pages can I get done in these 15 minutes, you know? But also, something that I feel is crucial, especially at the beginning of the semester, when I get all of my syllabi, I write every single assignment due, no matter if it's like repetitive throughout the week or you know, throughout the month. I always write it down, the time that it's due, and then also depending on how big the project, I'll write down like a start date. It might seem like trivial, like tedious to do it at the beginning of the semester, especially if you don't have something due until April, but as we can see now, April is in like 2 weeks. So things really like catch up to you. What else did I have writing here? And as we spoke about in the presentation, like don't be afraid to look for resources or ask people for help, or your professor, your classmates, you know, all the different resources we have on campus, because that's what everything's here for, you know. And this is like my 8th semester here at Stockton. So I've definitely put those resources to work, and you can definitely see the improvement in your work and just the way that you think, your critical thinking, the way that you move as a student, and everything that you do. So things like that and thinking ahead is definitely one of the key things that I would suggest for first generation students, for any student, no matter what semester, no matter what major, or anything like that.
And I'm meeting probation students now. And I said, well, what is your strategies for improvement this semester? And 9 out of 10 students say writing assignments down. Some people send text to themselves. Some people send emails that come on a certain day, but organizing your time is really most important. When I went, and I only went to school in the 90s, I guess it seems like a long time ago to you, but not to me. I just would get up in the morning and do 1 hour of studying. That was the best hour study before I did anything. Now I had children, so I had to get them. So this was really early, but then they went to bed at night early and I went to bed because I was dead tired from all this studying. But if you just set aside a time to study, or a time to study just your most difficult subject, you know, plan that study time out like you plan your work schedule out.
Great.
How about you, Gabby? Anything that you think you might have been better off by having parents that went to school, or brothers and sisters to help you?
So actually I didn't introduce myself because I just dived into the tutoring thing, but I'm Gabby. I'm a senior. This is my last semester. I'm a double major in literature and world languages with a minor in French. I speak about 5 languages, only 2 of them like fluently, but that's my passion project, is learning languages. I'm the president of Literature Club and also one of Stockton's a cappella groups, Staccata. I'm also the president of the Stockton's chapter of the English Honor Society. As I said, I'm the head tutor at the Writing Center, and I was an employee at student development, but now I live at home, which is very far away. So I can't work for them anymore.
We still consider you one of us though, Gabby.
Thank you, Lord. I'm always part of the fam. But so I come from a very long line of farmers. I live on a farm. I have a lot of goats. That's my favorite thing in the world, is goats. But my parents didn't go to college. My mom went to Del Val, but she never even finished 1 semester. Like, she dropped out before she even finished 1 semester. My dad's a farmer. My grandpa was a farmer. My brother's a farmer. He went to technical school to learn to work on race cars, but then he just became a farmer. I'm the first person in my family to go to college, let alone a liberal arts college. Half of my family is very proud of that, but the other half makes fun of me for it. So I've always been an excellent student. Like, as you can see, I do a lot of things, so I'm always busy, and I've always been an overachiever. So academically, I don't know that I would have benefited from having parents who went to college. But my mom kind of lives vicariously through me because she didn't get to finish her degree. And so I think it would have been nice to have support, not just because I'm doing something they couldn't, but because like they support me in that they're proud of me, but they can't offer support in terms of academics, which I've handled, but sometimes it's kind of sad. I,
Are there ways that you have found that you've been able to stay organized throughout the years? I'm saying this because I know that you're very organized. Are there
Yeah.
tips? Maybe I should rephrase my
Yeah.
question. Are there tips that you can share that might allow others to kind of create a way to stay organized and kind of manage their time a little bit better?
so glad you asked. So like Kaya said, I cannot stress enough how helpful it is to write out all your assignments. My favorite part of the semester is when I get my syllabi, because the second class is over, I go through and I write them out. And color coding is so helpful. I think I can share my screen. So just real quick, I'll show you what I do because I'm a visual learner. So I color code my classes on a Google Doc, because with Google Docs, you can use it on your computer, you can use it on your phone, you can always have it. So I break it up by week. And if it's something that I can do like right now, like if it's available and I can start it whenever, then it's not in italics. If it's something that I'm waiting for the professor to send, I put it in italics. If it's something that it's like, wow, I should really start thinking about that soon, I bold it. Um, and then I have my little key up here in case I forget what each color is. But it feels so good when I get to like this part and I'm like, wow, I've just got 5 more things and then I'm done forever. And that feels so great. And just checking off, like even removing one bullet point just feels like such a relief. So even if it seems like you're not doing a lot, you're like, oh, I took off a whole assignment and we're one step closer to finishing. Um, and like Kaya said, it seems like a lot to go all the way through the semester, but that way you get it done from syllabus week and then you know and you're set for the rest of the semester and you don't have to like look back and miss something. I also stay organized with my calendar on my phone. I put all of my classes and everything in my phone. So it looks like I'm doing a bunch of things always all the time, but it's really just my daily schedule. So if someone is like, what time do you have class today? Instead of memorizing it, which I mean, you probably should know when your classes is. But if you have really short-term memory loss like me, then I can just pull it up on my phone and be like, okay, 11:20 to 12:35, I have this class. And I can use that storage space in my brain for studying and learning 5 languages instead of remembering where I'll be at 11:30 on a Tuesday afternoon. I also color code that so I know where I like what kind of thing I'll be doing. Like yellow is classes, orange is work, or no, green is work. So things like that. And again, it looks really chaotic, but I'll always know where I am, and it helps making plans a lot easier. And I can't forget to show up to class because it's all written down.
Now, we're not all going to do that with our color coding, but that is a very good example. But students, just keep talking to people. I'm from Delco. I'm sure you heard Delco. They make fun of it now, like it's a funny way to talk or something. And it's just the way I talk. But I have to be careful with the way I talk. When you're around educated people, you want to speak like them and not hop back into your slang. So sometimes you might see me hesitating. Nusrat knows that because I was her teacher one time. So I don't say use guys and other things like that, but get to know, surround yourself with people that you admire that you would want to be like. Even though I was an older person going to school, I admired people, and I wanted to see how you could be an educated person and be recognized as one. And you feel like people are looking at you, or you feel like you're different than everybody else. But everybody feels like they're different than everybody else at one time or another. And I've only come to realize that by advising students one-on-one. I don't care what they look like, what kind of hair they have. Everybody feels the same way I have felt at one time or another. So just talk to people, go to the career fairs and talk to people. I know we couldn't go this year, but even if you're comfortable Zooming, just start going and make yourself talk to people. A student was looking for observation hours, and she was writing to people and she couldn't find them because of COVID. She went to the career fair, even though she's only a sophomore, and she came out of that career fair with somebody that was willing to let her masked self in and do observations. So just talk to people wherever you see, get connections, find your resources, and then you will become resourceful.
And
Well,
you,
and I was going to say, I think you bring up a great point, because even just, listening to some of the resources that Gabby and Kaya shared, and even some of the ones that were mentioned in the chat, I know Quizlet was mentioned. I'm sure nowadays the amount of resources that are out there and available are changing every day. And I actually was going to pose the question for other folks: Are there tips or resources out there that you all have used to kind of find your ground and be more successful, that you think that other folks could learn from? So feel free to put those in the chat if there's resources out there that you utilize. I know, I'm not sure, maybe this will be useful for somebody. I know it was very useful for me when I was in grad school, but there is a website and also an app called Coffeetivity, which basically has background music that kind of mimics a coffee shop. And so they say that is really helpful to use if you're, starting to write a paper or just need to focus, because if you have music on in the background, then your mind is automatically singing along and kind of focusing more on the lyrics and the songs that are familiar to you. But if you have something that's just kind of background noise, it kind of helps to balance out the sounds that are around you, and helps you stay a little bit more focused. I haven't been on that website in a while, because it's been, a few years since grad school, but it looks like they have other resources on that website as well to, like I just saw there's an article to an app called Freedom that helps to block other distracting apps while you're studying. So I think it was Kaya who mentioned, setting that timer for 15 minutes and putting your phone and whatever else away. But if you think that you might be distracted by the dings and the alerts and whatever else might be popping up, whether that's on your computer or on your phone or whatever other devices around you, then you might want to look into, an app like that can help you stay focused. I see there's a few other things popping up in the chat too. YouTube, to find some good music to help you focus.
If you're living over in Atlantic City campus, I met many students from there. Take a bus ride. It's getting nicer and nicer every day. Bring your books and your laptop and go to our library. You can sit there and look out at the lake and work on your computer, on your paper, on our computers, on your own computer. Get out of the dorm rooms. I met a girl, the very first student that comes to probation every year is going to be the most successful student. And she didn't know anybody, and her roommates were nice enough, but she really didn't click with them, and she really didn't leave her room in Atlantic City the first semester, barely at all. So now she's making herself, she goes across the street to the nice big academic building. You're allowed to go in any of those classrooms there or any here on main campus, and just to set up and do your work. I met another girl, and she went from a class in person, and the next class was a Zoom class, and she didn't have time to get back to her home. So she was going into a classroom, but she was bothered by other people coming and going. So I just told her where the furthest classrooms were that she could find, that I'm sure nobody would be bothering her. And I even let her come in our office, because we're not all in there every day, to take a test after her regular class, a Zoom class occurred. So reach out to people. I love to see students. I love to help students, even if you're nearing graduation like you two. Come and see me anytime. Academic advising, that's at the top of the stairs in the Career Center. But now, if you click on academic advising, you can see our profiles. We're geared to different majors, although we can all help anybody in any major. So do click on me and Zoom.
That's great. Thank you so much. I kind of just want to open it up to everybody. Are there other questions that you have, or maybe a problem or situation that you're going through that you're like, are there any resources out there that can help me with this? So feel free if you wanted to put it in the chat, or if you can just unmute and we can talk about it.
And I talked about my son, who I had at 18 years old, and he must go to college and be everything his mother's not. And that's when I started to go to college, when he was in his senior year, and I left him alone. And he went on the train, and he didn't tell me, he applied to Temple, got into Temple, went on the train every day, and graduated one semester before his mother in 5.5 years. He went to school for radio, television, and film, and he actually works in the film industry in Philadelphia. He's what you call a grip electric. I'm like, what exactly do you grip? But it has to do with electrical and dollies and things like that. And he actually works in the field that he went to school for. But sometimes, as you know, your parents need to leave you alone and let you make your own decision. And so if I didn't do that, and if I pushed him, he might not have liked it. He might have felt forced or whatever. But remember this when you have kids someday.
I also wanted to say, don't make yourself a stranger to your professors. Like, this isn't high school where people are, well, okay, people might be like this, but it doesn't matter if people think, oh, she's a teacher's pet. It's not high school. It's networking. It's making connections. It's helping you if you need a letter of recommendation, because it is in a professor's job description to write letters for a student. But if they have no idea who you are, they can't write, like, they'll write you a letter, but it'll be a copy and paste, like, this student comes to class and submits their homework, and no employer is going to be like, wow, that's really great. So you don't want to just show up and have your camera off all the time and never email the professor, never talk in the chat, never talk in class, because you'll need those connections. Sometimes I'll have students in the tutoring center, when you sign in, you have to choose what class your assignment is for. And I'll ask them, who's this professor? And they're like, I don't know. And I'll say, well, I mean, like, what's their name? What's the name of their professor? And they don't even know their professor's name, which baffles me. You pay so much money to take these classes from these people that are teaching you, so you might as well at least know their name. Lots of professors have office hours. Definitely take advantage of those. My freshman year, again, I'm a literature and world languages major, so when I took a science class my freshman year, I was so lost. And the second week of class, I went to the professor's office hours and I told him, I'm not a science-minded person. I'm so scared I'm going to fail this course. And he talked to me and he gave me this plan, and I ended the course with an A+. So no professor is going to be like, oh my God, this person came to my office hours where I'm here meeting with students. That's part of their job description, and most of them will be happy and appreciate that you spoke to them. And again, if you need letters of recommendation, you want to have at least one professor that you can rely on to write you a strong letter, and someone that knows you.
That's
Just
really,
to like,
go ahead, Kaya.
I was just gonna say, just to like continue off of what Gabby was saying, I think it was my freshman year of college, and I was applying to be an RA, and you need letters of recommendation or like, you know, from professors. And as a freshman, I'm still in my high school mindset, like, I don't know any of these professors, like I'm too shy. But like what Gabby was saying, like they want you to talk to them, like it's their occupation, like they enjoy that. So like I was saying before with giving advice, like do not be afraid to talk to them, to ask questions, to just be engaged and show how like interested you are in the class and the conversation and things like that, because that's what makes the class more enjoyable. And like I was saying about my letter of recommendation, I was speaking to one of my preceptors and she was like, make sure you ask if they would be able to write you a good letter of recommendation, like something in a positive light, because most of the time you don't see the letter and then like you're like, oh, well, why didn't I get the position or whatever? And it could be because of that, because like what Gabby was saying, they just gave you a generic letter because they don't really know who you are. So it's really beneficial, especially as you continue to go through your college career, to have those connections that you can rely on people. And, you know, even besides that, just people to talk to and, you know, ask for more guidance and just be there for you so you feel more comfortable with where you are and what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you both for sharing.
You also need letters of recommendation for scholarships. So you might think, I'll never need someone to write me a letter. You will. There will be, if you are a college student there and you are going to apply to a job anywhere, someone will need to write you a letter at some point. And if it's from like your mom or your cousin, they're not, it needs to be a professional relationship. It doesn't make you a teacher's pet, it makes you smart. And your preceptor is a great person to start with because they have to meet with you to figure out your academic plan anyway. So if you're taking classes with them, even better.
And if you don't like your preceptor, if your preceptor's eating every time you go see them, if the preceptor doesn't show up, we don't mind, they don't mind. You can change. You just ask another preceptor to be your preceptor, or if you need suggestions, contact me. I'm in charge of assigning all preceptors. So McCloskey's my name.
Oh,
Preceptor's my game.
I just want to comment one thing. I would also say I'm a first-gen student, and connecting with professors has been one of the most helpful things for me personally. I know I went wrong in high school by not talking to my teachers because I didn't think it was cool or whatnot, but talking to professors in college has helped a lot. And going to academic advising every day, coming in as a freshman, I was just super confused, and academic advising helped guide me through it, and make connections to, even if they didn't know an answer, they were able to guide me to someone who would know an answer.
Thanks for sharing that. I think that that's, you know,
that's good to hear.
Good to hear. And a great reminder that we're all here for you. So if there's something that is confusing or it's hard to understand, ask questions. Come and find us, ask your professors, come to academic advising, come to student development, come to the Career Center. All of these offices are here to help you. And so don't be afraid to, don't feel like you're bothering us if you come and ask questions. That's why we're here.
I was going to say something, but now I forget. Oops. What were we just talking about? See that thing I said about how I have short-term memory?
Going to talk with professors and making sure that you can get to know them.
Oh man.
I think a lot of times too, you know, depending on, you know, what internships are like in, you know, your field in your area, a lot of times professors can help you get connected with, you know, different research opportunities and independent studies where you can really kind of dive in and learn more about that content. So especially if you get to know one of your professors really well and would want to work with them even more, reach out to them and talk with them, because there are definitely opportunities out there for them to pull you into different research opportunities, which looks amazing. It's an amazing experience when, you know, you're applying to grad school or to jobs and internships and things like that.
I do have, oh yeah, you could go.
No, you're good. I'll remember this time.
Okay, I will say that that's another good example. I'm a sophomore right now, and I took this developmental psychology class, but I dropped it like the first 2 weeks. But I reached out to the professor to like display my interest in what she was teaching. And turns out now I'm her research assistant, even though I didn't even take one of her classes. And so it just helped that I was first off able to talk to her. So I wouldn't have done that if I didn't reach out the first week of class. And I never would have expected to kind of have that position.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Especially as a sophomore. That's super.
Yeah.
My French professor, like I said, my minor is in French, and I needed one more French class to graduate, but not enough people signed up, so they canceled the class. And before I could even start to panic, he reached out to me because I've spent the past 4 years. I start all of my emails to him with "it's me again" because I bombard him with emails all the time, which is not necessarily good, but because I do that, he reached out to me first, and he was like, "Don't worry, I'll set up an independent study for you. You can finish your minor. I got you." So definitely helps. The thing I was going to say, don't feel bad or worried if you're undecided, or if you start to realize you don't really like your major or your minor, or if you're starting to think about another field. Don't feel like it affects anything if you change your path. I've had like 7 different minors. Like there was 1 week my sophomore year where I was in academic advising every day because I changed my minor 5 times in 1 week. And that hasn't affected anything. I mean, if you're a senior and you're changing from a music major to a chemistry major, that might change some things, but I was worried that someone in academic advising is going to be like, why does she have 17 different changes on her thing? But no one looks at that. No one really cares.
We have too many students we don't even remember.
Exactly. So do what makes you happy. If you're not enjoying the program, there are plenty of different programs at Stockton.
Agreed. Again, I'm a senior transfer student and a member for Ospreys. Let me just plug that in for anyone who needs study buddies, or in this case, a shoulder to cry on in case you're feeling stressed, or in this case, overwhelmed at Stockton. If you're non-traditional, first generation, a minority, or simply need a quiet space to study, normally, if you were in person, we have, meetings, studying with us. As someone who works at the school and also as a student, again, non-traditional, older demographic, and I would say definitely take advantage of the mentoring programs here, because if you need a leg up like I did, where I came from a community college, we didn't have enough opportunity to do research, to go study abroad. Definitely seek some of the programs such as student success services. First Ospreys, we do have mentors who are professors here. Lauren can probably tell you, look at the frats and sororities, especially the cultural ones are fantastic for if, again, it's definitely, I would say, a predominantly white campus, but in case you're feeling lonely and maybe you want to achieve some excellence on campus, check out the frats and sororities such as the AKA, such as Chi Epsilon Sigma, LTA. Definitely reach out to Greek life. Definitely join some clubs on campus. I cannot stress that enough if you're feeling lonely. Check out service learning if you need to volunteer on your free time or online. Definitely check out iWork, EOF. We love to have students inquire, look at even the foundation scholarships, or in this case for EOF, you get a certain amount of money allotted to you, apply as usually as a freshman. We do accept transfer students. Definitely reach out, especially for clubs. You don't know what you'll get. Some clubs like ASA, Asian Student Alliance, give out scholarships for some of their members. And the only thing you may have to do is show up or be a part of the e-board. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. You just did a whole commercial for student development. I appreciate all the shout outs. But yes, we have so many student organizations that you can join at any point throughout the year. With fraternities and sororities, for many of them, they do have a window, where they take in new members, but for the other student organizations, you can join and become a part of that at any time throughout the year. It's not just during the Get Involved Fair, and it's a great way to get connected with others who share similar interests or share a similar background or similar experience as you. And so definitely a good way to kind of balance out the academic stress and have another outlet to connect with others.
I have a question.
Sure.
So as a freshman, like, we all have virtual. It's been difficult finding clubs. So do you guys know where I should start and how do I reach out?
Osprey Hub.
Osprey Hub. So if you go to stockton.edu/Osprey Hub, I just put the link in the chat, and you can log in using the same, your portal username and password, and you can basically do a search, for whatever you're interested in. We have clubs that pretty much align with just about every intended major out there. We have cultural organizations, religious-based organizations, just special interest ones. Club sports is on there, even though club sports is run through athletics and recreation. A lot of them have an Osprey Hub page where you can at least find the point of contact. So definitely get started there. I see that Maya put the link directly to the first Ospreys organization, which is one of the co-sponsors of today's event. And so, definitely check them out. They're a great group to be a part of. Any other questions out there?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So I want to like better my resume. Where can I get help with that? Like help with my resume because it looks really bad now.
Sure. So we have, I know that they just recently changed their name. They used to be called the Career Center. Now I believe that they are the Career Education and Development Center. Did I get that right? I did. So they're located on the first floor of the campus center. And I know that they have a lot of virtual programs and walk-in hours and things like that. I'll go ahead and put their website in here. And you can kind of go through and see on their website, like when their different hours are and when they do resume reviews. But that's definitely something to start thinking about sooner rather than later. You don't need to be a senior in order to go into the Career Education Development Center. They definitely want to help you from day one that you step foot on campus, helping you to, talk about your career goals and build your resume and start thinking about next steps so that you can work towards your goals during your time as an undergrad. So definitely take advantage of their services. They are there to help you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our representative Nusrat from for health science, her name is Natisha. And
Yeah, I spoke to her once.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely stay connected.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you all so much for spending part of your afternoon with us. I know it's a beautiful day. I know Gabby's ready to go back outside with her goats. She has baby goats that were just born today, right?
At like 2 o'clock. Yep.
2 o'clock, a few hours old. And I know Nick said that he was outside earlier and is itching to get back out there. So go and enjoy this beautiful weather before, winter number 4 moves back into New Jersey, because you know how that goes. But thank you all. If you can all just take about 5 minutes and complete the very brief survey that we have for our program today. I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat again. This way it'll help us to develop and enhance these programs in the future. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Cindy, or come by our offices and come visit.
And if you go to your precepting appointment and there's anything you don't understand, just click on me for an appointment and I'll explain it further. I never mind. I love my job.
Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.
All right, thanks.
Hey guys.